Good morning, students. Dear students, our next topic in the chapter stress and strain is tensile test on ductile material. So, ductile material means on mild steel bar. So, the tensile test is performed on the mild steel bar on universal testing machine. So, this figure shows the universal testing machine. The cross section of the test piece may be circular, square, rectangular, or in special case of any other form. So the figure, this is the circular specimen of circular cross section, this is the specimen of rectangular cross section, so specimen with shoulder ends and specimen with thread ends. So the test piece is in this test, ends of the test piece are fixed into the grips. So ends of the, this is the mild steel bar test piece. So this test piece is fixed into the grips connected to the straining device. The test piece is strained by the tensile load up to the fracture. So if the applied load is small enough, then the deformation is entirely elastic, means it will return to its original form as soon as the load is removed. If the load is too large, then the test piece is deformed permanently. That is, the permanently deformed means it will not return to its original shape and size after the removal of the rods. So during this test, the value of the loads and corresponding extensions or strains are noted, and the load or stress strain curve is plotted. So the specimen are shown in this figure. The prescribed length of the cylindrical or prismatic portion of the test piece on which elongation is measured during the test is called gauge length. So various stage of failure of the mild steel specimen during the test is shown in the figure. So this is the test specimen in the original shape. So this is the, so after the elastic limit, a permanent deformation is observed. So by further increasing the tensile load, localized reduction in cross sectional area takes place. So this is the reduction this figure shows the neck formation. Neck formation means the length is increasing and the cross sectional area is reducing. So this is the reduction in the cross sectional area, so and increased in length, that is neck formation. So then, as the material further goes into the plastic stage, the material becomes brittle due to the strain hardening effect, and the fracture takes place by separation of grains. So this is the fracture of the test piece. Then the stress strain diagram. So to plot the stress strain diagram, nominal stresses are calculated by dividing the loads by the original cross sectional area, and the corresponding strains are calculated by dividing the extension or elongation by the original length of the test piece. The values of the stress and strains are plotted on the graph paper by taking strain along x-axis and stress along y-axis. So then this figure shows the stress strain diagram for the mild steel bar, and the curve starts from the origin. This is the origin, showing that there is no initial stress or strain in the test specimen. So the specimen passes through the following stages, that is point A. Point A is the limit of proportionality. So point B is the elastic limit, and C is the upper yield point, D is the lower yield point, and point F is the ultimate stress point, and G is the breaking point or fracture point. So then limit of proportionality, starting from O to point A. Starting from O, this is the point O, starting from O to point A, the Hooke's law is obeyed, that the stress is proportional to the strain. So from point O to A. So from point O to A, Hooke's law is obeyed, that is stress is proportional to the strain produced by the stress. So OA is a straight line. So this portion of the graph is OA is straight line. The stress corresponding to the point A is called proportional limit stress. So limit of proportionality, load at proportional limit divided by original cross sectional area. Load at proportional limit means load corresponding to the point A divided by the original cross sectional area is limit of proportionality. Then elastic limit. So the portion of the diagram between A, B. So the portion of the diagram between A and B, it is not a straight line, but up to the point B, the material remains elastic. The material remains elastic means on removal of the load, no permanent deformation is observed, and the material will regain its original shape and size on the removal of the load. So the point B is called elastic limit point, and the stress corresponding to this point is called elastic limit stress. That is the limit up to which the material is completely elastic in behavior is called elastic limit. Hooke's law holds good from O to A, but it is not obeyed from A to B. So Hooke's law, it is obeyed from O to A, but it is not obeyed beyond A. So from beyond the point A, Hooke's law is not obeyed. That is between A and B, Hooke's law is not valid. So elastic limit. Elastic limit is load at elastic limit divided by original area of cross section. Then yield point. So beyond the point B, the material goes to the plastic stage. So beyond the point B, so after the point B, the material enter into the plastic stage until the upper yield point C is reached. That is, the removal of the load does not allow the specimen to return to its original form. So point C is called the upper yield point. Point C is the upper yield point. At this point, cross-sectional area of the material starts decreasing. So this is the point C. At this is the upper yield point. At this point, cross-sectional area of the specimen starts decreasing. So in this figure, in the neck formation, so cross-sectional area of the specimen is reducing. Cross-sectional area of the specimen is reducing and length is increasing. At this point, the cross-sectional area of the material starts decreasing and the stress decreases to a lower value to a point D called the lower yield point. So D point is the lower yield point. This is the lower yield point, D point. The stress corresponding to point C is called upper yield point stress, and the stress corresponding to point D is called the lower yield point stress. From the point D, the specimen elongates by a considerable amount without any increase in the stress up to the point E. So the portion DE is called yielding of the material at constant stresses. It means from the point E, yielding of the material takes place without any increase in the load. That is yielding of the material at constant stress. So then ultimate stress point. So from the point E onwards, the strain hardening phenomena comes into the picture. So from the point E, the strain hardening phenomena comes into picture. So that is, the stress again starts increasing up to the point F. The stress again starts increasing up to the point F because the material picks up the ability to resist the increasing stress, but the elongation now increases at a much faster rate. So point F is called the ultimate point, and the stress corresponding to the point F is called the ultimate stress. So this is the point F is the ultimate point, ultimate load point, and the stress corresponding to this point F is called the ultimate stress. So then so at the point F, the necking of the material begins. At the point F, necking of the material begins and the cross-sectional area starts decreasing at a faster rate. That is, so a cross-sectional area is decreasing, starts decreasing, and the length increases at a much faster rate. So at the point F. So then breaking point. So beyond the point F, elongation will continue at gradual decreasing load due to local necking. So it means extension of the specimen continues even with a lesser and lesser load, and ultimately the specimen breaks at the point G. Point G is known as the breaking point or fracture point. Point G is the breaking point or fracture point. So then, what are the conclusion of the tensile test? So by the tensile test, the following mechanical properties are obtained. First, ultimate tensile strength. So ultimate tensile strength, it is also known as maximum tensile stress. So ultimate tensile strength, it is obtained by dividing the maximum load to which the specimen is subjected and divided by the original cross sectional area of the specimen. So ultimate tensile strength, so maximum load upon original cross sectional area. Then yield strength. So yield strength is defined as it is the ratio of the load at the yield point to the original cross sectional area of the specimen. Yield strength, load at yield point upon original area of cross section. So then breaking point. So breaking point, it is determined by dividing the load at the time of fracture or the breaking by the original cross sectional area. So breaking strength is a load at breaking point divided by original area of cross section. So breaking strength, it is also known as rupture strength. So for ductile material, that is for mild steel bar, rupture strength is lower than the ultimate strength, but for the brittle material such as concrete, ultimate strength and rupture strength are same. So then percentage elongation. So it is the percentage increase in the length of the specimen. So percentage elongation is length of the specimen at fracture, that is length of the specimen at breaking minus original length divided by original length into 100. So this property gives the indication about ductility of the material. So materials having percentage elongation less than 5% are brittle materials, and the materials showing percentage elongation between 5 to 15% are of intermediate ductility, and the material showing percentage elongation more than 15% are ductile materials. So then percentage reduction in area. So due to axial tensile force acting on the specimen during tensile test, length of the specimen increases, but at the same time its cross sectional area decreases. So as a result of this, cross sectional area is changed. So this the percentage reduction in area is obtained as percentage reduction area original cross sectional area minus area at breaking, area at fracture divided by original area into 100. Thank you.